Hi, I'm Ian, driving anxiety specialist, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about perimenopause and why many women that are going through this stage suffer from driving anxiety. So you may have been like one of our many clients who've been driving really confidently for years, if not even decades. You've been driving on dual carriageways, you're on motorways, and everything's been fine. And then you enter perimenopause, and then you notice that situations where you used to be able to drive really confidently have now become ones where you kind of react with anxiety, you react with panic, and you start to overthink and dread those journeys. Well, most of what you're experiencing is due to a change in your hormones, a hormone imbalance. As you know, there's going to be a decrease in estrogen levels as you enter perimenopause. And what estrogen does in terms of the brain, it kind of helps to regulate mood. If we think about the brain in simple terms, we've got the amygdala, the primitive part of the brain, which deals with emotions, and we've got the prefrontal cortex here, which kind of deals with logic, if you like. So when you've got high estrogen levels, we keep this prefrontal cortex in charge, the one that's logical, the one that's intellectual. When there's lower levels of estrogen, then this amygdala, this emotional part of the brain, it's easier for that to get involved. It's easier for that to think there's a threat. There's also a lowering of a neurotransmitter called GABA. So GABA has a calming influence on the body and brain. So when those levels are lowered, okay, then if you do react to something, if the amygdala decides that something is threatening, okay, and it kind of like sends stress hormones around your body, then it's going to take longer because of the lower levels of GABA. It's going to take longer for this prefrontal cortex, a logical part of your brain, to take back control. So you've got a double whammy, really. You're going to react to events that you didn't react to before. And when you've reacted to them, it's going to take longer for this part, the prefrontal cortex part of your brain, to take back control. And if you think about driving, although you may have been doing it for years, decades, with ease, it's actually quite a complicated task, especially when you're on dual carriageways and motorways. You're judging speed, you're judging distances, you're using hand-eye coordination, foot-eye coordination, all at the same time. It is a complex task. So when you're doing that complex task and you're reacting to situations and then you're less able to take back control, those things can become anxiety provoking. And as they do, if you experience anxiety on a motorway, panic, what your brain does is it almost takes a little snapshot. And that snapshot gets stored in a part of your brain that's a bit like a filing cabinet. Okay, and that filing cabinet, let's call it the driving is dangerous file. Okay, so the more times that you're on the motorway, dual carriageway, whatever it may be, and you're driving and you react, you then store another file in that filing cabinet, the driving is dangerous file. Okay, and the more that you store in that file, the more that your brain truly believes that driving is dangerous. So what it does is it pattern matches. Okay, so when you're driving and you're encountering one of those experiences that you've encountered before, you take information in through your senses. So if the information that you're taking in through the senses is the same as what's in the file, then your brain will trigger your fight, flight, freeze response in order to try and keep you safe. Your brain is literally trying to keep you safe. And also you'll find that often during perimenopause as well, you find disrupted sleep. Okay, so because of that, there's an increase in the stress level, a stress hormone called cortisol. Okay, so sleep has another calming effect on the brain. If you think about a bucket, okay, a stress bucket. So every time you're overthinking during the day, okay, as we all do, we all have worries and concerns and things like that, okay, you start to fill up this bucket, okay? And during sleep, especially during REM sleep is when you dream, okay? When you dream, what that does is it lowers down the level of stress in this stress bucket, okay? So you might start the day with an empty stress bucket if you've slept for the length of time that you would normally do. Okay. Well, if you're having disturbed and interrupted sleep, then you don't get to empty that bucket. Okay, maybe that bucket is only half empty. Okay, so when you start the next day and you start to overthink and you start to worry even more, you're adding more and more and more into this bucket, then you're more likely to react as well. Okay, because you haven't lowered down that level, okay, so you can cope with these challenging situations. So what hypnotherapy can and can't do is this. So hypnotherapy isn't able to change your hormonal levels. Okay, we can't influence the levels of estrogen and GABA that you have. Okay, but what we can do is that we can lower down, okay, the levels of cortisol we have. We can help you to promote sleep, so you can start the day with an emptier stress bucket. Okay. Also, if you think about that driving is dangerous file that we talked about, well, they're just subconscious patterns in your brain. You hold those subconscious patterns, okay, in order to try and keep you safe. And like I said, when there's a pattern match, those two things match and you trigger your fight, flight, freeze response. So what we can do through hypnotherapy is we can change the subconscious patterns. We can take away the driving is dangerous file. And we've helped many, many women throughout different stages of perimenopause to get back to driving with confidence, feeling in control without the overthinking that comes with it. Okay, so if this is something that you would like to explore, then please have a look below. Use the links below to either book a consultation directly or to have a look around the website. You can see some of the reviews and some of the case studies. And I hope to look forward to seeing you soon.